Okay, so the purpose of this session is to go through the topics sales forecast and sales and operation planning. We will start off by going through the sales forecast and then sales and operation planning. In addition, when we're finished with the presentation, I will show how the steps or the process is conducted in the system. So to start off, sales forecast. Sales forecast is the forecasted sale, meaning what is expected quantity to be purchased by the customer in the weeks and months to come. You may receive the forecast from a customer or simply accumulate total demand by product. In addition, you can also state a probability percent for each forecast. The sales forecast overview can be filtered by different criteria such as customer, production, location, and granularity, weeks or months. The forecast is also per warehouse location. So if you have several locations, you must state which one the forecast is for. If there's no location defined in the file you import, the system will use the default location for your company. The sales forecast is the base for calculating what you need to produce, production requirements, and what you need to purchase requirements. This is the main page of the sales forecast application. From here you can filter on different locations, customers, and choose how you would like the prognosis to be displayed, week or month. Overview also presents product type and name with filtering possibilities on products and product groups. The first quantity column shows total need for a specific product, whereas the other columns shows the needs sorted by period. By clicking on the inspect icon next to the quantity, you will open an application that presents the details behind. A sales forecast in RAMBase exists in an object named FCC. An FCC is created for each product with requested date and customer. So for example, if a customer forecasts a product for 3 different weeks, you will get 3 FCC objects. The total sales forecast for a product will be summarized from numerous FCC objects, and these can only be created by uploading a file. From this overview, you can also adjust the quantity, change requested delivery date, and define a probability percent. Probability percent can later be used as a filter option when calculating production and purchase requirements. The upload of a sales forecast is done by uploading a CSV file containing product, quantity, requested date, location, and customer account. A file can, for example, not contain forecast for several locations, and a new sales forecast for a customer will replace the previous one. An upload of a sales forecast is done by a specific menu option named Import Customer Forecast from File. When the upload is completed, the previous forecasts for the customers and the location in the file will be closed. For example, if a customer has an existing forecast for product A, B, and C, and you upload a new forecast for that customer containing only product A and C, then all FCC objects for product B will be closed. So that was a bit general information regarding the sales forecast and the basic functionality. As I said, I will also show this in the system afterwards. But for now, let's move on to the sales and operation planning process. So when the sales department are finished with their sales forecast, you're ready to start with the sales and operation planning process. Before we explain how the process works, some key functionality within this application is that you can create calculation, or you can calculate production and purchase demands. In addition, you can also manually adjust both production and purchase demands. You can use different types of source demands. It can be a sales forecast, it can be customer backlog, or you can combine them and use both. There's also different settings that can be activated for each process, which again enables you to modify the process in a way that fits your organization. These settings will be explained later on. So what are the benefits by using this sales and operation planning process? You get a better planning of the production and purchase process. It also enables you to send out forecasts to your suppliers. This in turn will help you manage your stock levels easier, and it's also more efficient since one can create both several production orders and purchase orders simultaneously. So there's multiprocessing enabled. A typical process goes through several stages, starting with calculating production requirements and then purchase requirements. The last step is creating purchase orders for all purchase requirements from the purchase order suggestions. Before you start each process of the sales and operation planning, you have the possibility to activate different settings that will affect how the calculation is done. So all these settings are presented in a separate tab called Process Options. I will not go through all of them because we have every setting documented on the online help, but some of the settings may be how you would like the needs to be displayed, weeks or months. If you want to include everything from the sales backlog to the demand forecast. You also have the possibility to include reorder point for purchase. So if products have specified reorder point quantity, the quantity will be added as a demand. And then this will be included in the gross quantity of purchase requirements. This also includes products defined as kits that are externally manufactured. You, for instance, also have the requested delivery day when purchasing, preferred day of delivery used to consolidate purchase order suggestions. Default is all days. And as previously mentioned, you have the probability percent where you can state the range you would like to use for this specific process. So there's a lot of settings that you can activate or enable to fit the way you plan both production and purchase, and all these settings are documented on the online help. After all settings are set, you start by calculating the production requirements. Production requirements represents the production needs. The overview shows the demanded products separated into different periods based on requested delivery. Available quantity is the sum of all available goods receptions and production work orders. The first number in the marked area shows gross demand quantity, which is the total demand before any subtractions is considered. This is initially set as the sales forecasted quantity. The second number after the arrow represents the net production requirement quantity. This is calculated by subtracting production work orders and stock. One can also inspect the details behind the numbers as well as adjust the production quantity. So as you can see, for production requirements, we have two types of overviews. The first one is the plan and the second one is a list. This overview will basically present the same information as the previous one, but in more details and with specific dates. In addition, it will also be possible to directly create production work orders, either one by one or by selecting them all. The created production work orders will be created into status 1. So before moving on to the purchase requirements, I will present the logic and reasoning behind the numbers given in the previous overviews. To start off, the gross production requirements describes total need before any subtractions has been done. These needs can be based on several parameters depending on what settings are enabled in the process option tab. So as you can see, it can be a sales forecast, it can be sales backlog, it can be reorder point, and it can be underlying sub-productions. During the subtraction, we use something defined as a consumption pool. The consumption pool is what you have available to consume in order to support the production needs. So in this case, it will be what you have available in stock and active production work orders. The only exception is if the goods are blocked for any reason. So creating the production net requirements is the calculation the system does to find out how many new products you need to produce and when you need to produce them. The equation is rather simple. What you need minus what you have equals the net requirements. So after the process of calculating production requirements is done, one moves further to the next step, which is calculating the purchase requirements. This overview represents all component needs originating from production requirement plan and demand forecast. A customer can of course also forecast on products classified as parts, materials, and so on. The same logic is inherited in this overview, where the first number represents the gross quantity demand. The second number is the net demand. The purchase demands are also separated into different periods based on when you need them. There's also a list overview of the purchase requirements, giving you a more detailed view of what is available, with the gross demand, the amount subtracted, and net demand. So similar to the production requirements, gross purchase requirements and the calculation behind it, it's also based on several parameters depending on what process options you have enabled. So first off, the first off is the demand from sales forecast and or backlog. Then all the components required to fulfill the demands from the production requirement plan and production work orders linked to any customer needs. Furthermore, you have products with the specified reorder point and other production work orders that are not linked to any customer needs. So the consumption pool for purchase requirements is defined as what you have available to consume in order to support existing needs. In this case, we take into consideration what you have available in stock in addition to the supplier backlog. Products that are located on stock locations that have active blocking settings or that are customer-owned goods will not be added to the consumption pool, as well as products that are being transferred. So based on this, the system will calculate how many products you need and when you need them. The last step in the process is going through the purchase order suggestions, where the net quantity of purchase requirements is considered as suggested purchase quantity. But the suggested purchase quantity will also take into consideration any minimum order quantity and package quantity and make necessary adjustments. This overview holds more information such as lead time and deadline, and also lists all needs based on preferred suppliers. There is also a possibility to multi-select and directly create purchase orders for selected or all lines. And you can also send out a forecast to the listed suppliers. So that was the presentation. I think before we move on to going through these steps in the system, if you have any questions, we can take them now.
One question. Will you share this presentation or are you referring to online help?
We can talk afterwards and we can maybe share it in, or send it out to the participants.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Okay, then I think we can go in the system. So the sales forecast application is accessible through the sales module, sales forecast. I've already uploaded a sales forecast from customers, but the way you do it is you use the menu option, import customer forecast from file. You select the file, then click upload. So now I uploaded the forecast. As you can see, the overview shows what type of product it is, the product name, the source, the total need. You can adjust these columns to show more a longer period by adding more weeks, and if you choose months, it will be, of course, defined as months. So initially, the first shows total need, and then you see all the needs divided by the different or filtered by the different periods. If you inspect the total need, you will see what kind of customers have forecasted that specific product, when they have forecasted it, and the quantity, and so on. Here you can also define a probability percent. You can also change requested delivery date and also increase the quantity if that's necessary. So that is the basic functionality with the sales forecast. So you basically upload a file and then you use this as a as a foundation when going further to the sales and operation planning process.
I have one question.
Yeah.
What if we have just one customer and we are working on projects, not only suppliers or customers?
You have one customer and you're working with the project.
Yeah, we have just one customer and then we have a many project because we sell everything for other company.
I don't see that as a problem. You can of course upload a forecast for a specific customer, if that's what you mean.
No, I mean that it will be one customer and then it will be many forecasts for one customer.
Yeah, it's another dimension Adam is asking about. I believe he has talked to Roald about this earlier, hasn't you, Adam?
With Bjørn Morten also.
Yeah, Bjørn Morten. I think that they know about this, how you are intending to use it. Yeah.
Okay.
But I guess it's not a part of the solution today, but I know that you have asked for this dimension to you be able to have, say, projects in here. But we can talk to Bjørn Morten and Roald about it afterwards and see.
Yeah, but you can upload as many files you like, or you can do something on the outside, building a forecast on your own, and then upload it to the system. So I don't think whether you have one or several customers is a problem.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Okay. So I think we can move on if there isn't any more questions regarding the sales forecast. We can move on to the sales and operation planning process. Okay. The sales and operation planning process is available through the production module, planning, and sales and operation planning. So each time you start a new process, you need to name it and choose what location it is. When you have created the process, it will be in status 1, and from here you can add several settings, as we talked about, and each setting you can click on to get a more information regarding what it actually does. So when the settings are defined, the first thing you do is to calculate the production requirements, and then it will use the sales forecast, of course, as the basis for the calculations. And of course also, if the forecast is huge, it will take a bit longer time. But in the meantime, when it's calculating, you can also use you can use the system while it's calculating, so you don't have to be in that same picture always.
Excuse me, I have a question.
Yeah.
For the screen you just showed, there's the probability percent.
Yes.
Is that transferred from the previous sales forecasting process?
Yes.
And so that is the sales defining the probability percent.
Yes. So you can state that the probability for that forecast to actually be an actual order is 80 or 90, and then you can base that planning on the probabilities you have defined.
But so that's not based on any statistics or anything. It's just sales, trust in sales, basically.
Yes. Yes.
And there is no option to change that further on in the process?
No, not when you have already started calculating. Or do you mean changing it up on the sales forecast, or in the?
There's a lot of trust put in sales calculating this instead of, for instance, basing it on historical data. You know?
Yeah, I see your point, but there isn't like it doesn't consider anything as you mentioned, historical data when defining this percent. So it's basically something you define yourself.
Sales defines it.
Yeah.
And we are unable to manipulate it afterwards. That's
unfortunate.
Because we should.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
I will note that down. And,
if you don't trust the forecast from your customer, you are of course allowed to change it before you upload it. So it's or you can build your forecast based on some historical data and use that. So it doesn't have to come from the customer. It's a file that you upload that decides what happens afterwards. So it's up to you which file you put into the system.
Yeah. So we have to manipulate it in advance
Previous manipulation
before the upload.
Okay.
Okay, so now I have calculated the production requirements, and these are the main productions, and all these, so this sub goes into this main production. Let's see. So now this is the gross demanded quantity for that specific product, and as you can see we have 0 available, so the net quantity suggested is 7. I can also go in and manually adjust the quantity if I desired so. So here you can see that the demand is 5, but I have 2 available, so the net demand quantity is 3. And then I can inspect and see why it's subtracted 2. So I can see that I have a goods reception that has 2 available that I can take from. So after you have gone through these this production requirements and maybe made some necessary adjustments and so, the next step is to calculate the purchase requirements. So this is the overview of the purchase requirements, showing product name, manufacturer, and all the needs and when you need them. We can maybe add a few more weeks. The same logic applies to this overview, where you have what is the gross demand and what you actually need to produce based on the calculation that the system does. From the list view, you will also see the products with more specified dates and the calculation, what is available gross, what is subtracted, and the net purchase requirements. So here as well, you can make some, you can see the reasoning behind the numbers. So this is maybe showing all the information because it's not a lot of data, but when you have a more extensive process, you will see a lot more information.
I have one question.
Yeah.
If you have need in some week, like in this case week 6, and some needs in week 7, it don't accumulate it together?
No, not automatically, but you can adjust it manually and see. So if I, for instance, adjust this, then it will show, of course, calculate that I don't need to buy in 6 here because I will already taken that into consideration here.
But is there any place where it's total need or something, or we can know if we work, because we are working on more weeks, like 12 ahead or 14 ahead.
Okay.
So to calculate it manually, it's a little bit, it should be somehow more automatic, or at least suggest.
Okay.
But the purchase requirements is the specific day you need the goods. So if you remember, there was some option you could say when you make the purchase suggestion, you can say we want to consolidate within a week on a specific date in a week.
Okay.
So that is what you can do. So you can because if we consolidate through several weeks, you might get some goods too early or some goods too late. Depends on how it's consolidated.
Yeah, if we know that we, like, for example, order every 4 weeks, then it will be natural to collect all those 4 weeks together. For example, yeah, that's just a question.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, let me just write that down. Let's see how we are on time. Okay, so after you have been through the purchase requirement step, the last step is to calculate the purchase order suggestions. And as mentioned, this step will connect the needs to the preferred suppliers. And in addition to that, you will also see if you have any products with a minimum order quantity and so on. It will be taken care of. So this is the overview. You can either choose to see all suppliers or specific suppliers. From the list overview, you can see the manufacturer, the requested date, the lead time, when you need to buy it in, according to the date, the purchase quantity, and the prices. You can either select several like this and create orders for selected, or you can choose all and create purchase order on all needs. You can also, from this overview, send out supplier forecasts. So basically, you select the forecast, the supplier, and then choose to send to selected. Okay, I guess you would need to specify it here as well. Okay. Yes. So that was the agenda for today. Is there any questions?
I have a question. It's Thomas from Norse. Will the system give us a message if we need to get a part earlier or if we need to postpone a part?
Let's see.
Because of our changed forecasts.
Well, do you?
Yeah, that needs to be handled in the supplier backlog management system.
Okay, so
this is not doing anything with the existing supplier backlog.
Okay.
Yes, are there any more questions? Okay, thank you guys for today. Have a nice day and nice weekend.
Yeah, thank you.
Goodbye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Tusen tack. Ha det.
Tack.
Det var en bra start, tänker jag.
Ja, det är en bra start.
Ja.
Men
Ja,